So with that, I'll introduce the webinar. Today's webinar will highlight the E3A program at the University of Missouri. Today our presenters are Don Day and Amanda Marney, who are both Energy Extension Associates with University of Missouri. Don will start us off with an overview of their E3A program and their implementation ideas, and then Amanda will focus on their Energy Guide Sheet series, which we're working on getting incorporated into the Energy Management for Farm and Ranch folder of the E3A toolkit. So with that, Don, you can take it away.
Okay, thank you. We do appreciate the opportunity to discuss what we're doing and how we're planning to use the E3A program here in Missouri. We're happy to be associated with the program and excited about how these materials can be used in Missouri and other places. We, especially Amanda, have been working very hard to adapt the materials to Missouri and to our conditions. And then, as Amanda will say, and she'll show you some supplemental materials that we've been working on. So our plans are to roll this out as an extension program, not just a set of materials. We have a proposal in to pilot this in southwest Missouri, and we're hoping that's going to get funded, and Amanda will be taking the lead on that. I think we'll probably roll it out statewide almost simultaneously with the pilot in southwest. So far we've been working hard to revise the existing materials, and I'd say to some extent there will always be a need to update the materials and add new things as new developments come along. We do have some conditions in Missouri that are different from Montana and Wyoming, and so we've felt like we needed to add some materials specific to our state. I don't know if any of the rest of you have a problem with budgets, but we do need to recover costs, and we're working on ways to recover costs both for printing the materials and the cost of delivering the program. Another thing we're trying to work on is a standard evaluation plan for programs that are delivered and being developed. So our objective for this program is to teach homeowners and farmers and businesses how they can reduce their energy expenses by adopting research-based energy conservation and efficiency measures and understand the use of alternative opportunities. That's kind of a general objective, and we're working on some of our outcomes that we'll expect from the program. So the materials are very important, and again we're adapting them. Our program is going to consist of meetings, short courses, workshops, and that sort of thing. We will have tours of practices that have been implemented, and those will be incorporated into those programs, because we find that around here people like to see things that have been done, and we think that will increase the attendance at those programs. Some of the challenges that we see here in the state as far as implementing the program are the first one is energy costs are pretty low in Missouri, and so not all of our people really are all that concerned yet in attending a program on energy. We also have had a history of not charging very much for programs. Most of the people they've just not been used to paying very much, and when we start putting the costs of delivering this program together, those costs start to add up. The printing costs were very high. We had an estimate at the start for 1,000 copies of the material of around $75,000, and so we've been looking at ways of reducing that cost. Basically, in Missouri right now, cost recovery is required for most of our programs, and so we've been trying to build that in as we plan this. Along with that, though, we recognize that some audiences really cannot pay. They're in poverty, and we feel that these programs need to be delivered to them, maybe more so than to people that can pay. I think an example of that would be the mobile home sections, and so we'll try to be sure that we don't leave anybody out, and that we offer that at a lower cost or no cost to people, audiences like that. We also have a limited number of faculty that are able to deliver the program. It'll probably fall on the natural resource engineers, and we have 5 of them for the whole state, and then the housing and environmental design specialists, and we have 7 of them. So meeting the challenges, well, one of them would be to raise the energy costs in Missouri so people get a little more interested. We're just kidding about that. It wouldn't be very popular. But in some areas where we've seen costs rise, we have had a lot better luck getting people to attend. We intend to incorporate tours to show people practices that have taken place. Some of those may be virtual tours because, for instance, hog farms and poultry farms wouldn't want to have a bunch of people coming out to the farms. We're looking at finding sponsorship for the program, both statewide and local. Some of these would be rural electric co-ops, other energy providers, and then we're looking for anybody that might like to partner with us on the program. We're looking at print on demand rather than printing up a bunch of copies of the material. Print it as we need it. It'll add to the actual printing cost, but we won't have an upfront cost. This will mean that people will have to plan a little more ahead to be sure they get their publications ordered and they're on time. And of course offer free or reduced cost for some audiences. This program can be incorporated into other programs, and that might help to publicize this where we might not be able to get somebody out to a purely energy program. We're looking at ways to partner with Lincoln University, which is another land-grant university here in Missouri. They're an 1890s university, and they have faculty of small farm assistants throughout the state that would help us to take this program into with other groups. We do hope to provide some display materials to go along with this, things like solar and wind turbines, stuff like that, that would be helpful for people to use at either the workshops, short courses, or at field days. So that's kind of an overview of what we have been thinking about here in Missouri, and we'll be glad to take questions later.
Okay, I just need a minute to hand the controls over to Amanda. Okay, we see your screen. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We're excited to be here today to talk to you about the guide sheets that we have developed for our farm energy module. To date, we have developed 4 sheets. Those include top money-saving practices for dairy and poultry farms, energy conservation and efficiency in farm shops, as well as energy efficiency and farm water systems. The information that we obtained to create these sheets came from the Maestro program, and Maestro was a grant program that focused on Missouri livestock producers. And in particular, we focused on small livestock producers, those that did not require a CAFO permit. In this program, we were able to as well as provide cost share assistance to help implement energy efficiency practices that were recommended in those plans. Afterwards, we were able to capture energy savings, and that information was utilized in our fact sheets. In each fact sheet, we felt it was necessary to review the energy audit process, explain more about the energy management plans that farmers can get, as well as provide 4 general questions that farmers could ask themselves to ascertain if an energy audit was necessary. And those are listed here. That includes, have you recently added equipment to your farm? Have there been new technological or industrial advancements that helped improve efficiency on your farm? Has your farming operation grown or expanded to include new property? And is there an opportunity to apply for financial assistance? This is an example of the overall energy savings that we included in the fact sheets. We did break it down per energy type, and that kind of gives you an overview of what we included. We provided the overall energy savings for each farm or type of system that we were talking about, but we also broke that down, like within a dairy farm, for instance, what are the lighting practices going to save? When looking at the fact sheet for dairy farms, we recognize that dairy operations use a substantial amount of energy to help move and cool milk. So there is a high potential for substantial energy savings on this type of farm. In particular, we looked at lighting retrofits, water heating, milk cooling, and milk harvest. Those were the top energy savings measures that we saw through the Maestro program. When looking at poultry farms, these are closely monitored environments that they're very careful about humidity and heating options. Therefore, they are large consumers of both propane and electricity. There's a high potential for large energy savings in this type of farm. What we saw through the Maestro program were that lighting, radiant brood heaters, and insulation provided the most energy savings. And so we break those down and talk about each type of, like, the lighting options that would be available for poultry farms. And we do talk about, within this particular fact sheet, we break it down into broilers, turkeys, and layers. When looking at energy conservation and efficiency in farm shops, energy losses often resemble those in homes, but they're often overlooked in farm shops. And so we wanted to provide low, medium, and high cost energy savings that producers could capture if they were able to implement some retrofits. The low cost would include anything from sealing air leaks and turning the heat down or off, to high cost, replacing an entire heating system or adding insulation. When looking at energy efficiency in farm water systems, the return can be fairly short for some of the energy saving investments for water systems. We provided general guidelines for installing water systems, as well as talk about pump houses, livestock watering systems, solar water systems, and water heaters. When looking to the future, different types of fact sheets that we might be able to develop, we would like to capture information on current research at the university, including the use of geothermal in poultry. That's one of our projects that we would be able to work into a fact sheet. And that's just kind of a quick review of the 4 sheets that we have developed. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. So everyone has a questions panel on the control panel for the webinar. If anyone has any questions, you can type them in and I'll read them for the group. Okay, we have a couple questions. What was the evaluation method that you used to estimate the savings? And I think that's directed towards Amanda.
I'm sorry, the evaluation method? Well, we obtained energy information beforehand, and then afterwards we followed up with farmers and obtained their energy usage at that time as well. And so it was just a comparison between the two. We also were able to utilize the information in our energy management plans to estimate the savings, so we were able to look at what was estimated versus what was actually captured.
Okay, another question. If we email you, can we get copies of these materials?
Dawn, do you want to answer that? Since we're still in development, I'm not sure.
We probably should wait until our editors have given the final approval, and these will be put on the web at some point and made available, but yeah, we'll be glad to share as soon as they've been vetted by our publications people.
Are you involving extension field agents or educators in the program?
The people I was talking about that will deliver it are all regional faculty outstate. They have multiple counties, so that's who will be mainly involved in the delivery of it.
Okay, will you ask Amanda to say a bit more about geothermal for poultry?
I'm not directly involved with that research project, and so I don't have all the specifics on that, but I could look up several of the articles and send those out. I can have you maybe distribute those, Tori. We have had several articles written by our publications office on our project.
I might add a little bit. We have a faculty member in this College of Engineering that's been developing geothermal for poultry houses, and he's also working on some heat exchangers and has seen some pretty remarkable reductions in energy use. So he's researching some of those and then probably going to take it on to a further development of commercializing it. And he's also interested in working with other states, so if any of you have ideas of poultry producers, possibly hog producers that would be interested, I'm sure he would like to talk to you.
Okay, there's one that's a clarification from the first question. I think it was about how you calculated savings. It says, was it the farmer, rancher, landowner's utility bill you were using for your metric?
Yes, it was.
Okay, how much are you working with USDA, NRCS for either energy audits or implementation for these practices?
do refer people to the EQIP program as a possibility for funding, and there are also the people that help do energy audits through that program. So we try to make that a part of our recommendations that people that's a resource that people can use.
Okay, and sort of related, did you encourage farmers to access USDA funding to finance their projects?
Sure,
Yes.
that's the first question we get from people is where they can get funding.
Yes. The energy management plans that we developed, many were used for EQIP funding. That was just a part of it. NSAVE, we worked with NSAVE as a partner through the Maestro project, and they are technical service providers that were able to write some plans that people utilized for EQIP funding.
Okay, have you done any research on wood energy?
We have done some, not so much directly related to farms. Our MU power plant has a 100% biomass burner, and they're using wood for it. And so there's some research going on in regard to that. We've also had some wood to school programs where schools actually have installed biomass burners and are heating their schools with that. And we've had people that have worked with those groups.
Okay, do Missouri Extension personnel actually complete energy audits, or is this done by external parties?
We, at this point, do not do energy audits.
Okay, and another question on audits. Do they meet the ASABE 612 standard?
Yes.
Okay, what is the status, and I'm not super familiar with this topic, so I might not say this right. What is the status of the Miscanthus MFA project in Missouri, and does it look to expand into more acres?
I believe they have 10 to 12,000 acres of miscanthus. They have a pelleting mill in southwest Missouri, and they also have a dealership for some stoves that burn pellets, and have sold those to some of the poultry producers and greenhouse growers in southwest Missouri, and that's the way they're marketing at least some of their miscanthus. I don't know if they're expanding or not. It'll probably depend some on the BCAP designation.
Okay, any partnerships with USDA, NRCS, Rural Development, or others?
Yes, we try to partner with all those groups, and especially keep people informed of what services are there and opportunities for producers to use their programs.
And a follow-up on the poultry geothermal, she just said that your offer would be great. We have a solar thermal transpired air project on poultry barns and would be excited to see the geothermal pieces. Any other questions? How has your interaction been with rural electric cooperatives? Are they receptive? Sometimes they're known to be hostile to alternative energy.
Well, I've worked quite a bit with several rural electric co-ops, and I think we have pretty good relationships. And I don't detect them being hostile. They might not be as enthused as some people would be, but we have a local rural electric co-op here that monitors the electricity saved by some wind systems and some solar systems, and I get a monthly report from them on what those systems have generated. I couldn't ask for better cooperation than we get from them. Amanda, how about in Southwest? I think you've probably worked with some of them.
Yes, here in Southwest Missouri, we have a very good working relationship with all of the rural co-ops, and in fact, during the Maestro program, we were often able to work together to help refer landowners to either the co-op or the Maestro program to help get the most from their cost share money, and they were really great to work with us.
That is good to hear. Anything else? All right, well, before we wrap up, I think I'm just going to briefly pass the screen over to Milt Geiger, who's also on the line. He has a couple things he'd like to mention. Milt, the screen is coming to you.
And hopefully you can hear me as well.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that this is part of an ongoing effort to find energy extension programs around the country to share what they're doing, how they're interacting. It doesn't necessarily have to be using the E3A curriculum, just what are the good ideas that are out there, what are the models like Amanda and Don were so kind to share with us this afternoon. And one thing with that, I wanted to remove, shall we say, selection bias. Certainly have a list of ones that I or Mike Vogel or Tori know of things that are going on in other states that we'd like to learn about, but at the same time we're aware that we don't know all the unknown knowns, if you will, or known unknowns. So if you have an interest in sharing what's going on in your state, go ahead and contact me and we'll get you on the webinar agenda. We plan to do this particular format where we focus in on a state probably every other month. So please feel free to contact me or Tori, and we'll get you on the agenda because we'd really like to hear what's going on in other states because it makes some excellent ideas. I was taking notes as we were running through learning about Missouri's today. And the last thing, well, so much for that. All right, well, I promise I did have one more slide, and that deals with the forthcoming webinars. First of all, we're going to take the month of May off. I'll be gone for the technical short series at the beginning of May, and then if anybody is keenly aware of their calendar, the fourth Friday in May is actually the Friday afternoon before Memorial Day weekend. Now, I know we're all very enthusiastic about energy, but I suspect that none of us are enthusiastic enough, or many of us aren't enthusiastic enough to be around for that. So we will actually postpone that one until the fourth Friday in June, and then we're very privileged. Oh, there we go. So much for that. Oh, very privileged to be welcoming Kip Pyle from USDA NRCS, or National Energy Technology Development Team. He has tentatively agreed to provide an overview of interaction with NRCS. A lot of people are drilling on what would go on with, or how it interact with the some of the emerging tools with USDA, and he's got an excellent presentation that he's willing to share with us and has been very receptive to interacting with Extension in the past. And I will mention also the June 10th, the technical short, if you will, tongue-in-cheek name, of course, is Teaching from the Trunks, and that'll be by our very own Tori Haraldson from Montana State, talking about just a hands-on learning tool. So stay tuned in those, and you can always check to see what's going on at eextension.org/learn, and conveniently you can just type in E3A and all the webinars forthcoming in the past. It'll pop right up for you. So with that, I can turn it back over to Tori. That was all that I had.
Sure, and all I was going to do is thank our presenters, and thanks everyone for attending, and we will see you in June.